We join Ukrainian Kharkov plant once again. After taking a look at some of their other intriguing designs before, that place is a goldmine, it is now time to take a look at what could possibly be considered the most useless tank to ever exist. But before we dive into that, a quick word about my sponsor, War Thunder, which is also a game I quite like playing myself. War Thunder is a military vehicle combat online game. The game is free to play on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5 and the previous console generations. No purchase necessary, simply download and play. It is also fully cross-platform between all available platforms. Players on PC and both generations of Xbox and PlayStation all play on the same servers. Best thing about the game is probably the sheer amount of vehicles you can choose from, over 1700 historically accurate playable tanks, aircraft, helicopters and ships, from the 1930s up to some of the most modern vehicles. Not to mention the spectacular graphics with amazing effects. Use my link to register and receive a bonus, premium tank, aircraft or ship and a 3-day account boost. The game is completely free, so you can start playing immediately. At the first glance to an unskilled eye, this tank might seem like any other Soviet tank, but it is not. You see, under all of that explosive reactive armor, the tank is not any usual tank. They actually took a turret of one tank and replaced the turret of the T-64B tank with it. The problem is, the tank whose turret they used is actually a T-55 tank, which is decades older than T-64B. The main issue with this is the fact that T-55 uses regular cast steel as protection on the turret, up to 200mm thick, and has, of course, no composite armor, while T-64B uses composite armor as protection for both the turret and the hull. That means that the base protection of the turret is far inferior to the original vehicle, and statistically speaking, turrets are usually the first to get hit since they are the first to come into the view of the enemy over hills and other types of terrain. But that is not the end of the problems. Together with protection, the firepower got a massive downgrade, from a 125mm smoothbore gun used on T-64B to a 100mm rifled gun that was of course used on T-55. The projectiles fired from this gun are nowhere near as potent as the 125mm projectiles, including all types of ammunition, APF, SDS, heat and high explosive fragmentation. This also means that the autoloader has been completely removed together with the carousel. That means that one extra crew member is placed in the vehicle to serve as a loader, where the commander would now sit behind the gunner, which makes both the gunner's and commander's position pretty cramped, especially compared to T-64, where they each sit on a different side of the turret. But that is the case with T-55 and always has been. Another issue with that is that since the carousel is removed, they fill the entire vehicle with 55 pieces of ammo. It is definitely not safe. Not like T-64B was safe to begin with. But wait, there is more. Since the T-64B's turret has been replaced with T-55's, that means that the fire control system of T-64B is gone. T-55, first of all, has no ballistic computer, which causes a bunch of other issues. T-64B, for example, also has a crosswind sensor connected to the ballistic computer, laser rangefinder. It also has automatic lead, which automatically leads a moving target as long as you keep your sight on it, and bunch of other features enabled by the ballistic computer, not to mention the ability to use gun-launched anti-tank guided missiles. T-55 has none of that. It has a simple stabilized gun with a simple main gun sight with a reticle, and that is it. Oh yeah, and it also has a night vision sight, but so does the T-64B. In order to determine the range to an enemy tank on T-55, you have to use a very simple coincidental rangefinder drawn on the sight reticle, which is nowhere near as correct as the laser rangefinder. On top of that, you also have to guess where to shoot at moving targets. Overall, the fire control system is far inferior. One last thing that makes a big difference is the absence of a remotely operated heavy machine gun, previously present on the T-64B's turret. This means that, in this case, loader has to manually use the heavy machine gun while exposed to the enemy fire. This was kinda unique for T-64s in Soviet service, and other tanks like T-80s and T-72s also had manually operated heavy machine guns, of course excluding the Kharkov's made T-80UD. One upside to this vehicle is that it is lighter than T-64B, 33.8 tons compared to 42, of T-64BV, which was a variant with explosive reactive armor, which is some 8 to 9 tons lighter because of the absence of composite armor, autoloader and a much lighter gun. This is good because T-64's mobility suffered a lot once they installed Contact 1 explosive reactive armor, since it never received any upgrades to the engine, but for this vehicle, T-64's 700 horsepower engine is more than enough. You might wonder, what was the purpose of this vehicle? Well, they tried to sell it to some African countries that still use T-55 tanks, by saying how T-64 chassis is more reliable, offers better protection, etc., but they didn't buy it, literally. Keep in mind that this was in early 2010s, so this vehicle was regarded as extremely obsolete, and no one, not even poorer countries, wanted to get it. I mean, why would they? Just buying Contact 1 explosive reactive armor and putting it on T-55 tanks would yield similar but far cheaper results. Don't forget to check out War Thunder, where you can take control of many land, air or naval vehicles. Use the link from the description to get a premium vehicle and a 3-day account boost and start playing for free. Overall, the tank's design is silly. It was completely useless, and even countries that they thought might want to buy it weren't stupid enough to actually do so. And just like any other strange Ukrainian fantasy project, it failed. But this time, not because it was too expensive, no, but because it was too useless. That would be all. If you like my content, consider supporting me on Patreon, and if you can't, leave a like on the video or subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.